same region of the country heading the ICPC. It took a Femi Falana who criticized it on China's television. The presidency afterward had to remove. And there has been cases over and over again like that people would have to point out. Ministers who appeared for screening have been asked to turn them back because the presidency at the last minute had withdrawn their nominations. I mean, this kind of situation, is the president able to salvage this situation quickly?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. He would be the one to answer. But I can tell you one thing. Clearly, what we have seen are evidence of the fact that the president is not in charge. Someone else is in charge. Now, it's for him to figure out if he wants to really be in charge. How can a name get to the point of getting to the National Assembly for clearance? That's the final stage. And then you don't even know. Anybody who would have been involved with this should leave.
And NDDC, for example, another name was presented, another name was admitted.
Yeah. And when you spoke
ministers
when you spoke about the EFCC, you know, one of the things that I find very interesting, which is very popular now, is that look at the last EFCC chairman. He's in detention, and he may well be there properly. I don't know. I don't have the details, but all the people who he was investigating are the ones who are taking the, big seats at the moment. Isn't that itself a tragedy? I mean, are we not embarrassed as a nation that such a thing is happening? I mean, this government doesn't seem to have any sense of shame, I'm afraid to say so. I mean, you will feel ashamed to get certain things done. And then clearly there is an element of contempt for citizens. You just do things the way you want, how you want, irrespective of the rules and regulations are there. Are you not running a democracy? Have you not sworn to uphold the Constitution? Isn't the Constitution, there to guide, all of us? Is there anybody who is above the Constitution? So this reckless kind of behavior suggests that, there is contempt. They don't see anything. And this is partly, I think, because of the way we practice our politics. It's cash and carry. People pay. And because they pay, they have a sense of entitlement, and that's it. So if we really want to have a country, we have to get out of this mess.
Such scenarios, but one thing is paramount here. We want a better Nigeria. If things are going wrong, we have a hope that it can get better. Anybody who is saddled with the responsibility to get things done should get their acts together. But let's take a breather, Dr. Usman Bugaje.
Thank you.
When we return, more conversation about the state of the nation, the early days of President Bola Tinubu, tonight on the program. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
My pleasure.
I'd like to take you back to the contestation for the office of the president, which is gone to court now, and I'd like you to give us a sense of your own view of the outcome of that election. However intense it looked, it was one thing that we go into our history books as one election that caught some people as a surprise, one election that defied some odds, and for a lot of people, historic in several sense. And for you, the outcome of that election and the contestation that we have seen afterward, how much of impact do you think the consequences that it has had on our polity?
Shaun, this is a big issue, and this is an issue which we can discuss for over an hour. For me, it is the very fundamentals of the election. If you look at the delegates, the primaries, money was being exchanged freely and openly. We were all hoping that the EFCC, the ICPC, the SSS would be in those particular embedded within to arrest people who were using money. They didn't. We didn't see them. If they were there, I don't know what stopped them from taking it. And that for me was the beginning of the problem. Because if the whole edifice of election, because primary election is a major if you like, it's a major component of the general election. So if it becomes cash and carry at that level, then you know the kind of people you are going to end up with. And look at the amount of money that was now, and I'm not talking about just the APC, I'm talking about here across board, right? I mean, almost all the parties. There must be one or two where things are maybe, but for the majority of the parties that I know, and I participated, and I know that money was used. Now, for me, honestly, that is something that is so fundamentally wrong with our elections and which will continue to haunt our political system if we do not address it. And I know people find this uncomfortable and they don't even want to discuss it, but that's the beginning of the problem. And if we cannot go back to those roots and address them, now you come to the general election itself. I mean, we have participated. My own election, I mean, I went to my own ward, the Bugaja ward in Katsina State, and I saw what I saw. And I saw people brazenly sharing spaghetti, clothes, soaps, and so many other things. And there were people who were maybe not as open and they were sharing these things openly. And the police were there. Of course, there was only one single policeman. And I was actually shocked. And I asked him, I said, okay, so you are alone. What can you do? So really, I mean, our elections are really in shambles. And they cannot but produce shambles because garbage in, garbage out. And therefore, all the things that we are complaining about, that, you know, our economy is not picking up, is going down the drain, insecurity is not improving, it is worsening. When you talk about jobs, even those with jobs now, because of the economy, they cannot even feed themselves, they cannot feed their family, they cannot go to hospital, they cannot pay school fees. Even those who are working in bank, because of the escalation of an inflation. So everything about us is not working. Everybody who lives in this country knows, even those who are in government, knows that Nigeria is not working. And yet they are sitting there comfortably, quite happy with themselves, sharing the national resources and not caring about what some of us are saying. I'm sure somebody is watching and dismissing as maybe, oh, look at these people saying this kind of thing. But these are the issues that politicians or the whole country should be addressing. If we don't fix this, it's the country that's going to crumble, Sean. It's not going to stay. There is no sustainability in the mess that we are in now.
You look at an Atiku Abubakar, for example, and a Bola Tinubu in their own right, heavyweights. And there comes a Peter Obi, who came in the third leg as, not someone who is too far away from the system, as a lot of people will think, but it became a phenomenon in that election. What do you think of a Peter Obi that culminated in a movement called the Obedient Movement? What do you make of that?
For me, Peter represents the quest for change. People were tired of APC, were tired of PDP.